Rebels this week on 247reddeer.ca. Glad to be with you as we get ready for what will be a very exciting 2015-2016 Red Deer Rebels season. Pleased to borrow some of the time from the Rebels GM and head coach Brent Sutter. Brent, thanks very much for doing this.
Yep, you bet.
How excited are you right now that the regular season's finally here for a big year for the club?
Well, yeah, it's certainly a big year, obviously, with status of being the host of Mem Cup, but again, we got to make sure that we keep this in the proper mindset and make sure that we just focus in on the process. And I'm as excited for the regular season to start now as I've been any other year, but it's always exciting. And yet this year, obviously, the stakes are quite a bit higher, with being the host. But we don't want to. Again, we don't want to focus in on May. Our focus is here in our first regular season game coming up, and that's our focus, and just take it a game at a time. And again, it's a long year. You're going to have peaks and valleys, and we have to just make sure we manage everything right. And I may not be a guy that shows a lot of emotion at times, but I'm excited for the year to get going. We got a very good hockey team, and we just have to make sure that we stay the course.
How happy were you with how training camp and the preseason went for this club?
I was really happy with it. It was difficult. It was a different training camp, a different exhibition season for us, just in the sense where you just don't have a lot of guys, veteran players. We had 8 guys gone to pro camps and had an opportunity to play a lot of young guys early, and then we had to get them back to their programs. So the last couple, 3 games been playing fairly shorthanded. But you know what? At the same time, the kids played hard. They competed. They worked. They worked on things that we want to work on as a team. But now we start getting the pro guys back. Now we got to get them into the fold here and about how we're doing things and how we're going to play. And it's going to be something that's an ongoing thing until we hopefully get all of them back.
So in a way, that has to reflect the strength of this roster, the fact that you had so many guys worthy of being at NHL camps.
Well, true. Obviously, it's certainly been a year that we've had more than normal. But at the same time, it's great for the kids. They go get that experience, and I think that's really important for them. And they can come back now, and hopefully they can use that to their advantage, and it'll help our team too.
So obviously the 2 guys of note out of that group, Connor Bleakley and Hayden Fleury, both first-round picks with their respective clubs, and both look to get extended auditions with their NHL clubs. So obviously going to be a great experience for them.
Well, it's not shocking. They are first-round picks, and Hayden's a signed player, and I'm sure they'll go through a lot of exhibition with him before they make that decision, or maybe into the regular season and into the NHL's regular season. And Blake's, at this point in time, he's not a signed player, so he has to be back here by the October 4th if he doesn't get signed. And I'm assuming they're going to get him into some exhibition games too.
Yeah, absolutely, scoring a goal on Tuesday night, getting off to a good start there. Adam Usiel, drafted this year, went off to his first pro camp. He'll be back on his way starting today.
Yeah.
Obviously, high hopes for him. Hopefully, he can build on some confidence from there and progress his game with the Rebels moving forward.
Yeah. Adam's he's a big horse, and he's an important part of our team. And just finding out with Adam is finding the right fit for him. He's a power forward, and does he play center? Does he play wing? With Michael Spashik, they'll be back here at some point. They like playing together, and yet Spash is a center iceman, and will Adam be more comfortable on right wing playing with him? I don't know. We got to play with that and get a feel. We got like 8, 9 center icemen on our team that are natural centermen, so guys have to adjust and adapt, and everyone has been very receptive to all that. But at the same time, you want to make sure that we have the right line combinations, and we have the right mix, and so guys can form chemistry here.
You mentioned Michael Spacek, picked up in the import draft this year. You also get Ivan Nicolishin in from Everett. It certainly looks on paper and on the ice through the preseason that your import talent is as strong as it's been in a number of years.
Well, you know what? You go through the off season, and you look at your team, and you look at areas you need to improve it and make it better. And there's, we wanted to add skill to our team. And, when you add a Spacek and add a Nicolishin, and you're able to add a Peterson through the summer, those guys are awfully skilled players, and so and then we're very fortunate to get Brandon Hagel in here in the last week, who's a tremendously skilled player too. So we've added four very skilled guys to our forward group, and you got to score goals to win games too. So, we need to add more skill. But what I like about they're all real smart players, and they're intelligent. They know how to play the game, and again, it's just making sure that we have the right fit and the right kind of chemistry with the line mates, and get the right guys playing with the right guys, and that takes some time to sort out, but hopefully here in the near future we will be close to our lineup where we got our roster and we can get going with it.
Certainly looks like this club has an outstanding set of defensemen. This blue line core should stand out in the conference and in the league this year.
Well, we certainly feel like our defense is very good, and yet there's two or three other teams in our own conference that have very good defensemen too, are very good as far as a group. So I'm not going to say we're the only team that has it. There's other teams that do it, and there's some in the other conference too. But having a good defense is not an easy thing. It's hard to find, and you got to build it and you got to work with it, and and we've done that. And we made some key acquisitions last year by acquiring Ogier and Bobick, and that certainly helped our back end. And when you got Fleury there, and you got Mahara, Detzel, Strand, the young Pouliot boys came in here, and is at this point in time has made our team and is on our roster, and yet now he's injured, so we'll see where that goes. But our defense is strong, but you're always going to look at ways to improve it and make it better, and that's part of what I need to do as a general manager in every area of our hockey team, is where can we get stronger and where can we add more depth.
Going back to last season, one of the question marks was goaltending. A lot of fans weren't sure what Ryland Toth and Berman were going to do. They both play well. Berman's gone, but Toth is here. And now you've got Trevor Martin in. How happy are you right now with the way your goaltending tandem is looking?
In today's game, you have to develop your own goaltenders, and it's it's an area that needs to, throughout our nation, needs to continue to revolve and get better at. And there's so many things that involves with goaltending. Like these goalies, it's the most important position on your hockey team, and you have to have good goaltending if you're going to have success. It doesn't matter how good a team you have in front of you. If you don't have good goaltending, it's tough, and so you have to develop them, and we feel very comfortable with our two guys. Pother had a great year last year as a young man, and he's an 18-year-old coming to our league, and now he's 19. He's in better conditions, better shape, and we expect him to be a very, very good goalie for this year. And we went through a process this summer with Berman and Martin and decided what we're going to do, and we were able to acquire Peterson for Berman, and which helped us up front, which we needed. And I truly believe Taz can be a number one goalie in our league, but he needs time with that, but he needs opportunity to play. And but with Trevor, with Martin, we got a 19-year-old that had a good year last year in the SJ, and played a couple games for us and played really well. So let's see where it goes. And again, it's something that we have to continue to monitor too.
The youth on this club will be counted on to contribute as well. Obviously, a guy like Jeff DeWitt back for his second full season. And Austin Pratt, he's a player you're obviously excited to get signed in the offseason, and it seems like he's had a good training camp in preseason as well.
Well, we need Jeff and Josh Mahara, they were two 16-year-olds last year, to take a big step this year for us, and yet they're going to determine that over their play. They both of them are different types of players, but they got to bring out the best of what they can bring and what they are, and let's grow with it. And I thought that there was a big step for both of them last year in different ways, but now they have to take the next step. And with us being the type of team we're going to have, they're going to have to earn everything they get, and because we're going to have an older hockey team here to some degree, and yet, when you can bring in an Austin Pratt who's a 16-year-old player, but the reason why Austin Pratt can play at this level is because he's a big, strong kid. He's 6'2", 210, 215 pounds, skates well, great shot, plays a physical game, but it's a part of the game that he has to continue to work on, and that's going to be his stepping stone to allow his skills to continue to develop, and yet there's going to be a big learning curve for him, and just everything, just not on the ice, but school and everything involved. But he's a great kid, and we certainly have tremendous high hopes for him, and yet he has to be patient through the process too. He's still a young man, and he's got a lot to learn. But that's part of our job. That's what it's all about. It's part of our job is to teach him and get him to where he needs to be. But there's no, it's just not going to happen overnight. There's going to be a process with that, and it could take a year or two to get him to where we want him to be at.
Something that often goes unnoticed is a lot of the work that goes on behind the scenes, and you've got a ton of hats on between coaching and running the franchise and everything. Talk to us about the value of having strong assistant coaches, the likes of Jeff Truitt and Steve O'Rourke, as you guys go through the season.
Well, I look at it two parts. You got the business part and you got the hockey model part, and and with our situation here with with Jeff and Steve, they're two guys that have coached in the American Hockey League. They've coached junior A hockey. Jeff's been a head coach in Western Hockey League. They're guys with tremendous amount of knowledge and experience, and it certainly helps. There's no question from someone like myself, just in the fact that, being the general manager and head coach and president of the team, you got to surround yourself with good people. You got to surround yourself with people that have knowledge, and I guess you could say that it doesn't work. It does, without it, and they've been great. They're great teachers, and everybody, and then we added another coach this year and a skills guy, and Eric Lodge, who's from this area, but he's played pro hockey before, and he's got a great understanding of the skills side of it, and the kids love him, and it's worked out really well. Taylor Dakers is our goaltending coach. Al Prater is our fitness guy, our fitness coach. So we have it all covered. Derek Robertson is, our psychologist person we have to work with the kids. So we have every area covered, and now it's up to the kids to use it and take it and run with it to their advantage. And from myself, on the hockey side of it's all there, and then on the business side, I've had people in the office that worked with me for quite some time now, and they know how it works. And I just let them do their jobs. They're great at what they do, and so don't disrupt that. And my son Merrick does a great job of helping me oversee the business, and he's very knowledgeable. And that the younger generation is they show us old farts some new things. So, and you have to be prepared to change, and because times do change, and the hockey side of it has changed a lot over the years, and so has the business side of it.
And I'm guessing that change is reflected with your player personnel group as well, guys like Sean Sutter and Randy Peterson, and the guys that they look for to help the club both now and moving forward.
Well, I brought Sean in to work in the be right and like my right-hand man on the hockey side, but on the management side of it, and he's been outstanding. He's not only our head, director of player personnel, our head scouting manager, but he's right here. He lives now in Red Deer, and he's very knowledgeable, extremely hardworking, knows players, knows what our culture is, what we're looking for in players, and does a great job with it. Randy Peterson is Sean's right-hand man that helps oversee all the scouting staff. We got some great scouts, and and they're all over the country. And again, that side of it doesn't work without, obviously you have to have players, and they know what we're about here and how we want to play and the type of players that we want, and that's stuff that we focus in on, and we don't lose track of that. And everyone that comes on board in Red Deer, there's a culture that we have here, and everyone is part of that culture.
Getting back to the on ice, obviously you guys are hosting the big dance at the end of the season. Other teams are going to be gunning for you. It's not going to be an easy road for this team throughout the regular season and playoffs and such. It's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing turns out this year.
Good. That's the way I look at it. I think it's a great challenge for us. Let's hit it head on, and let's be ready for it. And yet let's not get so caught up into it where we lose our focus. And that's what I was saying at the beginning here. Let's just take it day to day and focus in on the process. And we know we have a good team, but we got to go out and play like one. And but you can't look at May or April or May. Let's just focus in on our first game and take it a game at a time, and that's really what we're doing as a group. And to be quite honest. I don't want to hear the players talking about it downstairs. We want to enjoy the experience and enjoy the ride, but let's make sure that our focus is stay in the moment and just focus on the day and the task at hand.
One final thing, a bit of a fun one. The Western Hockey League on Tuesday, they announced the top 125 players in league history. A whole bunch of experts and guys that you know pretty well came up with that list. 3 of your former players are on that list. Goaltender Cam Ward, Dion Phaneuf on the blue line, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins up front. Obviously 3 special guys and important to the history of this franchise.
Well, they're all special in their own way. And yet we've had some. And that list is, I don't get too caught up in that list either. I mean, We've had a lot of really good players that have come to this program as other organizations through the history of their teams and stuff. So, it's all measured on stats and stuff like that. And but those 3 guys were extremely, obviously very, very good players for our program in different ways. Cam was a goalie, Dion was a defenseman, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins was a center iceman, and you lose Nuge at 18 years of age. He was only here for 2 years, and you had Cam was outstanding when he played. Like I said, Dion was outstanding when he played here. And those 3 guys were not only, more importantly, they're exceptional people, and that's what I always look at too, the type of people they are, and they stayed, they're grounded, and and they've all obviously have had great pro careers, and so it's great, and it's great they came out with this list. But there's a lot of other players that could very well be on that list. It's certain people's opinions, and that's great, and everything that's great for PR and all that stuff. But I don't get too caught up into it because there's a lot of great players that have played in this league. It's a great league. It always has been. It's a great route to go to become a professional athlete, or it become to take your education package with it. It's second to none education package. So the scholarship is phenomenal. So you know what? It's to me, I always look at the big picture and on stuff like that, and everyone's contributed that's stepped on the ice and played in this league in different ways, and I think they should all be recognized. It's my opinion, but they come out with this list, and it's great. But I can name like 1,000 other players who could very well be in that list too.
Yeah, well, you're on that list as well at top 125, so we'll give you some.
I said I can name 1,000 other players. So.
Exactly. Well, regardless, good luck. Hey, maybe you'll crack the top 50, and then you'll have even more credit to deflect and share with everybody else.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, all some good fun. Brent, thanks very much for doing this. Good luck with Edmonton starting this weekend, and let's get ready for a big season this year.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Brent Sutter here on Rebels This Week on 247reddeer.ca.